Welcome to episode 16 of the Alan Holman Show. I want to begin with a rant on the same subject that I talked about on the previous episode. When I was 15 years old, a friend of mine got me to join this youth group that he was in. It was called the Core Neighborhood Youth Co-op. And the youth group was working on a project. They wanted to write a play for the Saskatoon Fringe Festival based on the types of dramatic scenes that the average member of that youth group goes through in their lives in the core neighborhoods of Saskatoon. And so before writing the play, some of the members of the group improvised some scenes that were the types of things that they'd want adapted into the script that they'd have. And these scenes that they improvised dealt with terrible physical abuse, sexual abuse, drug dealers, prostitution, stuff that at the time I had very little to no knowledge or experience with, but it was stuff that these other kids were dealing with in their lives. And I was probably the one kid in the group who spoke most eloquently, and when they all sat in a circle and voted on who would write their play for the Fringe Festival, every one of them, unanimously voted for me. And I did not connect with these stories that they were telling. I guess despite a lot of traumatic things that were going on in my life, it was like my life was a very different type of story than the types of stories that these other kids' lives were. And so because I didn't connect with the story that they all voted for me to write, I stopped showing up at that youth group. I quit right then and there. And I have no idea how their play actually turned out. I know that they did a play at the Fringe Festival that year, but I have no idea how it turned out. But I bet that it turned out way better than if I were to have written it, because I could not connect to the stories they were telling. Let's just put it this way, despite the fact that I was really poor, I was very privileged in other ways that made me disconnected from the types of stories that those other kids were telling. So yeah, that was probably the first time when I was approached to write a major project that I just couldn't do. Um, Plus, at the time, I did have ambitions to write a play. I wanted to write plays. Um, I eventually wrote some plays, and the audiences loved my plays. But the first play I wrote that had an audience was a play called The Professor, and there was Shakespearean dialogue in that play. There were references to great literature. There were characters who spoke eloquently. It was something I was able to write at the time. I was able to write characters who spoke eloquently and professorial and even Shakespearean. But a couple years before I wrote that play, The Professor, I was asked to write these stories about people in the poor neighborhoods who went through terrible, traumatic lives, and I could not do it. I could not. It was a different world from the world I was in. I was a kid who was reading a bunch of books and magazines, and I was in a different world than these kids that wanted me to write for them. I could not connect to what they wanted me to write. So, anyway, it is annoying when people who know that I'm a writer try to get me to write their stories that I don't connect with. I can only write the stories that come from me. And I've written a lot of them, and they're on my website, author Alan Holman's Microcosm. And every once in a while someone reads them, and every once in a while someone who has read them wants me to write a story for them, and I just can't. I can't. I can only write the stories that I come up with. Anyway, thanks for watching this rant, and let us see what is next on the agenda.
Lights are shining bright. We're here for just a night. Feel the rhythm take flight. In this moment all's right. Temporary beat, dancing in the heat. Keep moving your feet. Temporary but sweet. Just for now, hey, hey. We'll keep the night at bay. One more time we sway. Temporary tune to play. Seconds tick away. We live in disarray. Soon the dawn will say. Temporary tunes will play. For Alan Holman's show, we'll keep the energy flow. No need for theme songs now. Let's just enjoy the wow. Just for now, hey, hey. We'll keep the night at bay. One more time we sway. Temporary tune to play. away. We live in disarray, soon the dawn will say. Temporary tunes will play for Alan Holman show. We'll keep the energy flow, no need for theme songs now. Let's just enjoy the wow, just for now. Hey, hey, we'll keep the night at bay. One more time we sway, temporary tune to play.
And I'm back. When I used to post scripts, TV scripts that I'd write, original TV scripts that came from my heart-mind connection, when I used to post them on a website that other people used to submit scripts to, it was a website. I'm not going to say the name of the website, but it's a website where every week the webmaster would upload TV and film scripts that were submitted to him by just writers throughout the internet. Anyway, I used to be part of the community of that website, and several times while being in that community, people from the website, well, other members of that website's community, would approach me with an idea for a project that they wanted me to be the one to write. And one of them was a project codenamed Twin Script, and it was a story about these twins. And even though I've read the summary several times, I still don't connect with it, and I can't possibly write it. Another time I was approached with an idea. The guy gave me this text file that summarized the story, and he said, I want you to write it like Dan Brown would write one of his stories. And I can't do that. I can only write how I'd write one of my stories. Anyway, yeah. I think I've ranted enough about this subject over the previous episode and this episode so far. So let's see what the next segment has to offer.
You're watching the Alan Holman Show.
Well, it turns out I want to say one more thing about the subject I've been ranting your ears off about. And this is probably the most important thing on that subject. As a writer, at any given time, I've got partially written stories and stories that I am procrastinating writing. And these are all stories that come from my heart. They come from my heart-mind connection. And they are stories that I want to someday complete. So when someone approaches me with their own idea and asks me to write their story, that gives me a sinking feeling, because if I were to accept their project, it would mean further procrastination of the projects that actually have meaning to me. It extends how long it'll take until I can share my thoughts and feelings on the subjects of my own stories that I'm developing with the people that I want to share those stories with. So yeah, just If you enjoy the stories that I've written, I'm happy about that, but don't approach me with your own projects unless you're going to pay me a life-changing amount of money. That's all I wanted to say. Let's move on to another subject now.
You're watching The Alan Holman Show.
So on this segment, I just want to remind the people who are watching, whoever you are, that I wrote a 5-book series called Banana Chan. This is what book 4 looks like, but book 4 has that on the back, but you currently can't get the book versions of that story. Well, I think that there is a way. I think that you have to find them in Lulu.com's bookstore. I think they're still available in Lulu.com's bookstore, but due to a technical issue that requires me to spend hundreds of dollars in order to resolve, they're not currently available in any other online bookstore. And it'll be years before I spend that hundreds of dollars to resolve that technical issue. So you can only get the book form of my Banana Chan books from Lulu.com's bookstore. And even that I'm not quite sure of at the moment. But you can read the entire books at my website by downloading the free ebook versions at author Alan Holman's Microcosm. And of course, the other book I've written is Asclepius Staff, which is a book about it's a book about my thoughts regarding cancer. Very, very important book. I strongly suggest that I personally believe that when a person gets diagnosed with cancer, at that moment, somebody should give the person a copy of this book, because that is a very good time for the person to read the book and get a briefing on the particular things that the book talks about. And that book can still be bought at a lot of different online bookstores. A lot of the technical issue that is preventing my Banana Chan books from being sold by those online bookstores, that technical issue is not currently affecting the cancer book, Asclepius Staff. So you can still get this book from a bunch of online bookstores. But you could also read a free ebook version of it at my website called author Alan Holman's Microcosm. Well, I just had to remind you of these books, so let's see what the next segment is all about. One thing you'll see as this series progresses is I want to gradually adopt more and more of a rich person's mindset a wealth mindset, an abundance mindset, an affluent mindset. I want to adopt more and more of that kind of mindset. And whether or not it actually attracts more money to me, what I want to see if it attracts is better situations, better responsibility with the money that I do have, and if such effects of that mindset become obvious through the documentation, which is this vlog series, then I want you, the audience, to try to follow my lead in adopting that kind of mindset because of its potential to attract better situations and better responsibility with what you already have. And I mean, this is just a theory I have a theory that if I adopt more of a mindset like an affluent person, my theory is that if I adopt more of that mindset, that it will attract improvements in my situation. And so I want to document my gradual progression into more and more of that mindset through further episodes of this series. And I also want this series to show how adopting that mindset causes improvements in my situation, or if it causes me to fall flat on my face. Either way, we'll see on this show, and if it does cause improvements in my situation, then I want the audience to follow my lead and try to adopt a abundance mindset, a wealth mindset, an affluent mindset, a rich person mindset. So, we'll talk more about this in greater detail on future episodes, but thank you for watching this episode, and we'll see you later.